century, women have gained many rights. However, a key inequality still exists between men and women, and that's the right to fight for one's country. According to the Center for Defense Information, women did not gain professional military status until 1948 when President Truman signed the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, but that only limited their number to 2% of the total military. According to the World Almanac and Book of Facts, all enlisted jobs were then open to women when the draft ended in 1973, and admission to service academies began in 1976. In 1993, women were allowed to fly in combat aircraft and serve aboard warships. However, current U.S. policy still prevents women from direct combat situations. Specifically, women are prevented in direct ground combat, such as infantry battalions, armored battalions, field artillery battalions, special forces battalions, the Ranger Regiment, and so on. According to Judith Wagner-DeQ, in the article, The Combat Exclusion and the Role of Women in the Military, the original Senate bill establishing a regular corps of women in each of the services was introduced in 1947, but it did not contain any provisions that would have excluded women from combat roles. So the bill was sent to the House of Representatives for approval. The bill passed the House with the addition of the exclusion amendment. So my partner and I proposed that Congress should repeal the combat exclusion rule that bars women from combat. Now, why do you think why should they do this? First of all, the original combat exclusion policy was never fully explained or rationalized. So the bill that I had just previously mentioned, that originated in the Senate, which established a regular corps of women in the services, it was sent to the House where the exclusion amendment was attached. Now, according to the Center for Defense Information, when this bill was resubmitted to the Senate for approval, it was described as essentially the same bill that had originally come from the Senate, and they did not mention any addition of the combat exclusion policy. Moreover, the conference report made no reference to the rationale behind the combat amendment. Second, women are already trained for combat. In 1994, the Army dropped a rule prohibiting women from filling positions with a substantial risk of capture. Retired Air Force Captain Barbara Wilson is quoted as saying, "From this point on, women were not only trained to use arms, but could fire them on the job." So it's not like we need to spend a lot of extra time or resources to train them. Third, the military is completely voluntary. According to the United States Military Information, in 1973, the draft ended and the U.S. converted to an all-volunteer military. So women should be allowed to volunteer for whatever position in combat units if they want to. Finally, the main issue with the combat exclusion rule is that it currently violates the American value of equality. Overall, the combat exclusion policy has a negative impact on women's careers in the military. This policy hurts promotional opportunities for women. According to the Nonpartisan Military Leadership Diversity Commission, because they are not permitted to serve on the front line, women are routinely falling further behind men in their military careers. A study published in Gender Issues found that 50% of enlisted women, 52% of non-commissioned officers, and 50% of officers strongly agree that the present policy of combat exclusion for women hurts their promotional opportunities. The combat exclusion policy also prevents women from taking a lot of positions that men can take. According to the Center for Defense Information, they say that the official policy of the Army and Marine Corps excludes women from combat, which precludes 12% of skilled positions and 39% of total positions. In addition, a report by a panel of retired and current military officers agrees that keeping women out of combat units is a barrier to promotion and advancement. Furthermore, a majority of women want the combat exclusion policy changed. In another study published in Gender Issues, they found that 77% of enlisted women, 73% of non-commissioned officers, and 71% of officers believe that women who want to volunteer in combat situations should be allowed to do so. If enacted, repealing the combat exclusion policy would strengthen our military by providing more qualified people to fill positions. So this would allow for more people to be available for positions. According to the World Almanac and Book of Facts, the number of women in the military has steadily been increasing. In 1973, only 2.5% of the military was women, but by 2007, women accounted for 14.4% of the entire military. Now, more recent statistics found in the article "Women in Military Service for America Memorial Foundation" found found that showed that 14.5% of women were in the military as of September 2010. Clearly, this is 213,832 women out of a total of 1,473,343 people in the military. Clearly, this is a significant amount of women available to fill combat positions. So in conclusion, the combat exclusion policy should be repealed by Congress because there are no logical reasons for it. It's in violation of American values of equality, and it hurts women's advancement opportunities in the military. And finally, it would increase our military effectiveness and strength.